let's start with the NFC East mess because I don't want to leave that to the end. That'll depress me.
All right, so Cowboys and Eagles trying to stumble in. Due to last week's win, obviously the Philadelphia Eagles are in full control. All they need to do is beat the Daniel Jones-led New York Giants on the road. I think this is going to be more difficult than expected, but the Eagles win and they're in at the Giants. Can the Giants play spoiler in this one?
Yeah, so much like the Raiders thing, basically week 17 for me is largely rooting for comedy. At this point, I'm kind of done with all the wildcard teams, or most of them. The ones that were like waiting to fill up the last spots have no shot of doing anything. They kind of suck. So really, I'm just looking for the funniest possible thing to happen in week 17. The funniest thing to happen in the NFC would be the Eagles having really like taken Dallas' soul last week, not because they were particularly good, but because they were that inept and Dallas still couldn't manage to control their own destiny and clinch a playoff spot. For them to take take their own destiny in their own hands and then throw it all away by losing to Daniel Jones in week 17 would be freaking hilarious. It would be possibly even funnier if Dallas then lost as well. So basically, I'm just looking for losses across the board in the NFC East.
Yeah, and then remember a couple of years ago they had all that craziness, like the Bengals had that miracle play to win, and it put the Bills into the playoffs, and like there was all sorts of stuff going on during the 4 o'clock hour. I think it was just in the 2017 season. I think we could easily see a lot of that. I mean, the 4 o'clock hour in both conferences is going to be just insane because these games are going on at the same time: Cowboys, Redskins, and Eagles, Giants. I think the Giants have a legit shot here. I know they gave up a ton of points to the Redskins, but they've got some improved performances on the back end by some of their young guys in recent weeks, and Daniel Jones is capable of making those throws down the field where the Eagles, haven't covered very well.
Right.
So I think we could see some explosiveness from that Giants offense against the Eagles defense.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to need to score some points to win this game because I think Daniel Jones and the Giants will. Even if they manage to bottle up Saquon Barkley or shut down the Giants' run game, Jones is going to be able to pass against this Eagles secondary because it isn't very good. They've been giving up a ton of points and yards to pretty much everybody they play. So Carson Wentz is going to actually need to make some plays with a receiver group that still doesn't exist.
Yeah. And Wentz, I told you, a lot of people in Philadelphia are like, there you go, Carson Wentz with a statement game. And look, I know the situation was tough, and he's got no wide receivers. And, he went 30 for 39 or whatever it was. I mean, there was this methodical, solid game from Carson Wentz. But ultimately, they still scored only 17 points. And Dak Prescott's leaving deep balls on the table. Wait. He's leaving deep passing opportunities. Cut that out, guys. He's leaving deep passing opportunities on the table in that game that completely changed the narrative if he just hits one or one of his receivers catches one. I mean, it's not like the Eagles figured it out offensively. They've been just, sneaking some games out late, including against the Redskins a few weeks ago. So I think this is going to be a tough game in New York for them. I really do. Yeah,
plus they lost Zach Ertz in that game. Like, he broke his rib. He got drilled in the side, came back into the game with undoubtedly all kinds of painkillers, doped up to the eyeballs. I don't know that he's going to play this week. He hasn't been practicing, obviously. They signed Richard Rodgers, tight end, to basically, contingency. But that, at this point, they've got nobody left. They really don't. It's Greg Ward is their only receiver, effectively. They've got the running backs out of the backfield, and now they're down to Dallas Goedert because Zach Ertz is out essentially as well as their tight end. So they've got one wide receiver who was playing in the AAF earlier this year. They've got one tight end who was their, who is one of two that they like to deploy. And then they have running backs out of the backfield. This might be the most depleted receiving core I can ever remember seeing.
I'm changing my pick.
To the Giants?
I also don't want you to catch me.
Oh, that's not fair.
I just have the same picks as you.
That's harsh.
I've just talked myself into, I'm taking the Giants over the Eagles.
Yeah, well, that's where I started off going. Yeah, I honestly think, look, the Eagles didn't win the game last week because they were dramatically better than the Cowboys. They won the game because Dallas was just pitiful. I think the Giants are going to cause them some problems, and I don't know that Philadelphia, I don't know that they have the shots to answer anymore.
Yeah, I think I could see that happening. So I'm going with the Giants beating the Eagles here. I'm also kind of like you, rooting for a little bit of chaos.
So, continuing that chaos, right? Much like the Raiders could have the other 3 games break their way and then lose to Denver, if the Giants do Dallas a favor and beat the Eagles, does Dallas beat Washington?
Yeah, I expect Dallas to win, but if they lose, then they're out. Obviously, they need to win paired with an Eagles loss. The Cowboys need a lot now to get into the playoffs, but you got to get through Washington first.
They do.
They will, right?
I mean, well, I don't know. Like, this Dallas thing is a mess right now. Like, the only reason they haven't, I think, made wholesale coaching changes already is because they can still make the playoffs. Like, the only thing worse than, getting rid of your coach and admitting the whole season was a disaster in the middle of the season is doing so and then still accidentally backing into the playoffs and not having a coaching staff anymore because you just fired them all.
They're 2 weeks removed from just dominating the Rams. They feel like they're more in line for one of those performances because every time you're ready to write off Jason Garrett, whoever, or the team in general, they're like, oh, by the way, we can dominate. Watch. And here they go. I mean, a lot depends on Dak's health and his shoulder. I think that was a big factor last week, sure. But it's also in line with Dallas's roller coaster ride under Jason Garrett. So I can expect, they pop back up and take care of business against Washington.
So the key thing for this game is that Dwayne Haskins is out. The injury that he suffered last week, he's not going to make it back for this game. It's going to be Case Keenum, a quarterback, as opposed to Haskins. Honestly, I don't know that makes him better or worse, but it makes it less interesting. We know what Case Keenum is. At this point, we don't know yet what Dwayne Haskins was or is. And the most intriguing thing about Washington's run down the stretch was simply more Dwayne Haskins play on tape. So he looked like he was finally starting to put some things together and actually make some plays in addition to taking care of the football. And now we're not going to see that down, or at least the final week of the season.
Yeah, the NFC East just got all sorts of crazy the last couple of weeks. Washington and the Giants going into overtime with a shootout. The Cowboys-Eagles game, now they're all, playing each other again this week. I think as bad as the NFC East has been, they're going to create plenty of drama and excitement for us this week. I'll take the Cowboys, but I could see Case Keenum, putting together a nice game in Dallas and keeping it close.
Yep, I have also taken Dallas, which means that both of us are going for the Cowboys backing their way into the playoffs and hosting a playoff game.
Chaos.
You want to get rid of me and get back to more great PFF YouTube content? All you have to do is push that button right there and subscribe. Thanks for watching.